Did it come across in the speaker well? Oh, wait, you're still doing yours?
Yeah.
Come on.
It was an unusually difficult can to open.
Yeah.
Sure.
Especially
We'll
doing
blame
one
the
hand.
can, not the artist. Welcome to Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kirk.
And we're doing... What? No, it's just because you struggled with the can so much. This is usually how it starts. Is somebody's listening to this right now going, they're talking about the can. I came here to listen to Wicked. And actually, this is how you're finding this out. We're going to record this in 3 parts.
Okay.
Part 1 that you will experience is the part about you, Alissa, who is
Okay.
here on the Wicked episode where we're going to talk about the movie Wicked. But we're going to talk about you
Oh, as a person?
as a person. But we're going to release this part after we've released the non-spoiler and spoiler conversation about Wicked.
Okay.
Because we've found recently people listen to the episodes about, oh, this movie, I'm interested, and I'll listen to the non-spoiler. And there's like, wait, the first episode is just an interview with somebody?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be, what are we calling this episode, Kirk?
I don't know. It's just a Wicked episode. I have to come up with it after I edit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to say Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Sure, we can.
Something
do that.
Wicked This Way Comes. Wait,
Yeah.
you got a better one.
I was just like a random witch reference.
Give me a
Like
random witch reference.
No. Yours is.
Oh, because is that Hamlet? Which was Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I think so, yes.
All right, you're Googling it. That's
I
fine.
am.
So we're here with Alissa Efteland. I want to, in part 1, which will be part 3, the interview of Alissa Efteland, cover your life between finding out you were gluten intolerant to when you started.
It's Macbeth.
It's Macbeth. Damn it. Okay. I knew it was the Bard. Does that count? Because was the Double Double Toil and Troubles from
It's
the...
also Macbeth.
Yeah, the witches with their cauldron and stuff. What's your relationship with witches? Let's start there, as a woman.
What does that even mean? As a woman, what's the relationship with witches?
Because, witches are empowering to women in literature sometimes, and other times they're used...
Sure.
Rarely.
But-
I
Really?
think they're rarely empowering to women. I think they're
Are they empowering
generally...
in Wicked?
So my personal opinion is that the witch part is sort of irrelevant.
The Wicked?
Yes.
Okay. But
Like, you could tell the same story and not necessarily have them be witches who are dealing with magic.
Okay. So the magic of your life that brought you from, again, being gluten intolerant to now being a production designer / director / what other things do you describe yourself as?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for sharing my personal health history in this
I want when
public
people to bring
environment.
you things, they don't bring you gluten. Because I thought, I knew we have to do the cracking of the can at the beginning, so I had to think of a non-gluten filled drink.
Yes.
And so many drinks I
Wow,
drink.
you're so considerate, Cal.
I think of the things you want too.
Yeah.
I asked you what you
Thanks.
wanted before we drove over here too. When did you first get involved? Because you were saying before we started you're a theater kid. Do you want to give us some background on that?
Dance in particular was my life all through grade school, high school, etc. Ballet, tap, jazz, etc. And that lended well into also theater and ranged from community theater to I was in 4-H arts in every year.
Wait, 4-H does what they call forensics or theater? They call it forensics.
It's called Arts In, but yeah, it's like a community theater production. There's county level productions and state level productions, and performed at the state fair, etc.
Wait, the Minnesota State Fair?
The Minnesota State Fair. I think you've probably been there.
I have. I didn't go this year, thank God. I hate the Minnesota State Fair, which is not great for our, upper Midwest audience. Because we're upper Midwest filmmakers, so we like to emphasize. What age did you start this at?
Start dance or theater?
Dance.
Or...
No, dancing. Dancing is performance art.
3.
3?
Wow, that's pretty young.
Wait, I haven't gotten my kids into dance yet. Am I screwing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Noted. I was listening
You're
to...
also missing the cutest period of dance performance because 3-4 years old is peak recital experience because your child loves dancing, doesn't know how to dance. 0%
Clearly.
ability to dance, which typically means inevitably during the performance, at least one child sits down and starts crying.
Yes.
There's always a bossy child who's trying to make all the other kids do it the way that they think it's supposed to be done.
Right.
And it's just general chaos and it's very adorable. And then you get into the 6 to 12 range and that's awkward. They're doing their best, but it's just an awkward phase for all performers. Equal opportunity, dancers, musicians, it's an awkward age. And then once you get over 12, it's actually interesting because it's good dance again.
You thought, so when were you your best at dance? Or are you still reaching your zenith of dance?
Definitely not reaching my zenith of dance.
I wouldn't
I
say
mean,
that.
probably 16.
Okay.
I had a back injury shortly after that kind of ended my upward trajectory. But
which did you prefer the most, jazz, ballet, or tap?
Ballet with tap is a close second. I really enjoyed tap.
What is it about ballet that you enjoyed?
Well, I don't know. I think it felt like, at the risk of sounding trite, what I was made to do. I've always loved it, always enjoyed it, felt familiar, felt like home.
Mrs. Farx was really into dance for many years, and I've never talked to her about it.
Why not? What's wrong with you?
Many things, as you
know.
You
take any interest in your wife's stuff?
Yeah, your sister-in-law, I just don't take enough interest in her. I'm sorry. So you started at 3 or 4, you had the cute phase, then you had the awkward phase, and you had a back injury. Was the back injury related to dance stuff?
Yes, yeah.
What? I don't know this about you.
I mean, it was a long time ago in another life.
No, you're only 21 years old, so it's not that long ago.
Very flattering, Kyle.
You're welcome, yeah. I was talking to somebody that has a 20-year-old kid, and I was like, what is it like to have a child at 13? And she looked to another person and said, I like this guy. I was like, I just implied that something awful happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay, you know this person. She's been on the episode. She's been on the pod before. So
narrowing her down.
Yeah, it's for the linear listeners. They're really into that. What did you? So you reach a crossroads at 16. Mm-hmm. Crucial time in life. Mm-hmm. Could you drive at this point?
No.
Oh my gosh. Wait, because of the accident?
No. I just hadn't followed through with getting my license yet.
When did that happen?
17.
Oh, okay. What did you do next between dance and theater? High school? Theater?
The involvement I had with theater was concurrent with dance. What I did next was spend 2 years trying to recover from my back injury and continuing dancing. So.
Wait, you danced while you were injured?
Yes. Well, in the recovery phase. So I had a couple of months off and then was always trying to regain strength and skill. And it was painful and I think emotionally painful as a teenager to navigate that.
Sure. Would you if well, you have a son, but he might be in dance, and boys can dance, as I saw in a Z-Fest documentary this past year, right, Kirk?
I didn't see that.
There was a Z-Fest documentary about how
I'm glad you're learning things.
Boys can dance too. Yep. I'm allowed to dance.
But
I'm trying to get Kyle to be more progressive.
I'm constantly trying to progress more. I guess, would you change anything based on all of these things? Like, what would you change with your generation coming up under you, I guess, about, because you went back at it, it sounds like.
If I was to change anything, I would have probably more support. If I had a child in the same situation that I was in, seek out, more medical support, emotional support, etc. But we certainly didn't have sports psychologists back then. I mean, we did, but
it wasn't a field of
it wasn't common
medicine. Yeah, interesting. So tell me more about the theater. You started theater. What age? Like, we know we started dancing.
Again, 3.
3. You started theater at 3?
Yeah.
This is in
community
church?
Theater and church theater. Yeah.
Okay, community. Which did you do more, community or church?
Kind of equal.
Okay. And what did you like do in these things? Like, for example, I'll give you a specific example of what I did in church theater. I wore a sleeping bag at Vacation Bible School to be a caterpillar related to the VeggieTales movie came out where there was a worm in it.
Yes.
Or worm or caterpillar. I was a worm or caterpillar.
I vaguely remember this, yes.
Yeah, and not me wearing a sleeping bag in front of my church. You remember?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was there.
Even though you were in Minnesota and I was in Michigan with my adopted family.
Given that I'm 21, was negative 10 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well,
it checks out.
I think that math works. Yeah. So what kind of things?
It's a little generous, but.
What kinds of things did you do in community and church theater?
I mean, dance and singing and.
You had parts where you spoke and then danced.
Yeah, I mean, dance primarily because that was my shtick. So I was part of the dance chorus.
What's a speaking role you remember? Like, what's a silly anecdote similar to wearing a sleeping bag?
Wouldn't the very question have been what dancing do you remember most from
dancing
church?
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Because she's more of a dancer than a...
She's more of a dancer than she's a performer, okay?
Sure.
I mean, there was a year that I did choreography for the 4-H Arts In show because I was the person on the cast with the most dance experience. I was, I think, 12, so it wasn't good, but it was fun.
Who were you directing at 12? What age folks?
Everywhere between like 9 and 18.
And 18-year-olds were listening to 12-year-old Alissa on what to do? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Should they have been? Different conversation.
Give me a high school play or theater anecdote that you feel stronger. The more obscure, the funnier for me. And Kirk.
I don't know that I really have a good high school one because I was very intensely focusing on dance by the time I hit my sophomore year of high school. So. Did
you think you were going to go to college and get involved in dance in some way?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you go to college for again?
History.
Of course. The history of dance or just history?
No, just history.
Have you seen the history of dance? There's that history. It's a YouTube video. Google it now, kids. And did you dance in college?
No.
Okay. So the dancing stops in college. Mm-hmm. When does theater and when do these pick up again? After college? During college?
So I haven't been involved in theater since high school.
Okay.
It's been a while.
But you did movie stuff at one point post-college.
Yes, I did.
So you transitioned from dance performance, theater performance, and into movie performance. When did you get started in movie stuff?
Again, probably around, sophomore year of high school.
Okay. Around the injury, before or after? I
would have to think really hard about the timeline to answer that question. Too hard. There would have to be paper, pens, calendars
there was
involved.
Homework assigned for this. All right, so you get involved with movie stuff. What's your first involvement with making movie stuff?
So actually worked with my mom, and we wrote a screenplay, which we produced in the Twin Cities. And I also helped produce that and did a lot of other roles on the set for it.
When's this? What year is this?
2004, 2005.
When you were -2 years old.
Yep.
Wait, no.
Gotta start them early, guys.
Yeah, you would have been 3 or 4.
If your in utero baby has not yet made a movie, what are they doing with their life?
I haven't used any. What?
They're falling behind if they haven't made a movie yet.
Have we used a pregnant person yet? I'm looking at both of you. Have we used a pregnant? I don't think we've used a pregnant person yet. We've used young babies.
No, we haven't used a pregnant person. Oh, you mean like in a short film?
In a movie, yeah, like in a short.
No, I don't think so.
What is this movie you and your mom wrote about?
It's about a kids camp in Minnesota winter.
So it takes place in the winter?
It does.
This gets more fascinating as you tell me more, because that means you had to shoot during the winter when it was cold?
It was, that was a character building experience for the many, many, many people that were involved in this film.
So in high school, you and your mom are making, is it feature length?
Yes.
You made a feature-length movie in high school with your mom that you wrote together and then produced together. Well, who starts that conversation, you or your mom?
My mom.
Because she was associated with the camp?
No. So she's a writer.
Oh.
Yeah, and she was interested in transitioning. So she wrote a novel, and she wrote a stage play based on that novel, and she was interested in transitioning to be a movie, which led her to get plugged into the film community in Minnesota, which I was a part of also as a teenager growing up. I had many connections, and eventually what we came to was a lot of people in the community had ideas for feature films, but none of them were accessible from a funding perspective, a lot of like historical pieces or fantasy pieces. And so we basically sat down and said, we want to write a script that we can all work on together as a group. We can film in Minnesota with a limited budget and use what we have at hand.
About how much was this budget?
In the end, it was a couple million.
What?
Yeah, $2 million.
Of course, it was a couple million. Whose millions of dollars was this?
It's classified, Kyle.
She signed an NDA. She can't say anymore.
Where can this movie be watched?
It can't, unfortunately. It's not been released.
So you're telling me millions of dollars are spent on a movie that you and your mom wrote that cannot be viewed anywhere? Can you see it? Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have it.
Why can't it be seen?
Bonus. Will we? No one else to watch? Yeah.
Is it because of the Illuminati are involved? Why can't this movie
No,
be
it's
seen?
just not formally released anywhere at this moment.
But you've seen it. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I have mixed feelings always going back and watching it. It's always you see the things that are wrong, and also I'm incredibly proud of it.
Good. When's the last time you watched it?
Probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. I think I knew that. Your husband is signaling to me that he's never seen it. Your husband, who has played my brother, and he's in the room.
This is true. He's never seen it.
Did he know about
I
this?
had actually never even told him about it before he met my parents.
They told him?
Yes.
How did that come up? Like, it was like...
Oh,
so
it's something my mom talks about a lot. So it
she
came up
made
very
it.
naturally for her, and I had just never brought it up. But that's just kind of me. I compartmentalize, so there's lots of things you don't know about me until you ask.
Hence why we have a podcast. This was the reason.
No, I actually have several films that I have worked on that very few people have access to. One of it, there's even a feature film that I worked on from the UK that I have a copy of, but I've never watched it. So,
why not?
Jitters, I don't know.
Is it what? Tell me something about that movie that you're allowed to tell me without being, murked by British people.
I had a very limited role. I helped with the script to try to make it palatable to both an American and a British audience. I think I've always been nervous to watch it, mostly because I was not involved in production at all. I was only involved from a script perspective, so I have absolutely no idea what happened in between.
When is this in your life? What year is this?
2014.
Okay, so 10 years after.
Yeah.
Decade ago, yeah.
See, we're really like narrowing in on a time and place, and like this is going to be a great this. As I said before, this will come out after the Wicked parts, but I was not expecting to be this fascinated. So you work on this movie with your mom, then you get involved with multiple movies. 10 years later, you're involved with some British movie. What you can't give me a logline or anything about it?
It's about the social services system in the 70s in Britain.
Wow.
Social services system in Britain. And you're say more about what that would be, because let's pretend I'm dumb, which I am.
Specifically, it's about a mom who lost her child because of mental health issues.
What, like the child killed themselves?
No. Like the British version of CPS takes them away because of the mom's mental health issues.
Oh, not lost as in the child died. The child's taken away.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
It's not that dark.
Yeah, well, I've seen...
Actually, this is a total aside, but I shared our like horror shorts with my coworkers at our last in-person retreat, and everybody was like freaking out and being like, who the F is Alissa? Like...
Which horror shorts are you specifically referring to? Are you referring to Night, Puppet King?
And Surrogate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And were they positive? So
they loved it, but they were also like, who are you?
what's wrong with it comes off odd. I don't bring it up to people in my 9 to 5 role unless forced to. Wait, you had 2015, after you what's the point where you realize you're done on this multiple $1 million camp movie you and your mom made?
Probably around then was when I stepped away, yeah.
And has your mom made other things since then? I mean,
No.
She's not on the podcast. Okay, but what's the next thing you do after that, and how do you find that thing?
I mean, the next thing was, so I was connected with a national and international group of filmmakers and an association, and generally, like, the things that I worked on were just people I had met through that, and when they wanted to work on something and offered.
Money?
Sometimes money, sometimes not money. Sometimes it's just like, hey, would you help out with this? It's similar to the arrangement that I have with you, Kyle.
Thank you. I've never given you money.
It's not strictly true, but it's always been reimbursements.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah, that counts. That's more. That's
You
more.
bought me dinner once, so.
Oh, only once?
You probably bought me dinner more than once.
Your husband looked at me like, you bought my wife dinner.
He was there. You also bought him dinner.
Well, he's part of the team.
Well, no, like you.
Actually,
we.
I didn't buy him dinner. The company bought dinner for everyone, and then it was written off at the end of the year as a reimbursement or like an expense that they, like, oh, you spent this money in the interest of.
Yes.
Making things for a company.
What a scintillating conversation we're having right now.
I think that, so who's the market for this kind of podcast? People who are interested in movies, people who are interested in making movies, and then people who are here in the upper Midwest is theoretically our market. We have as many reviews as much more prominent podcasts than ours, and we're taking that to heart.
That's a win.
Did Kirk write them all?
Write all the reviews?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't understand why they were all ones. What's the last film thing you did? Because we went back 20 years and 10 years. It's 2024, almost over, but...
The last film thing I did was Surrogate.
Oh, man. With I call it Toilet Baby to a lot of people, and then I don't explain that.
Seems on brand.
Thank you. We were showing the Paprika with The Present.
Oh, we did put...
Paprika was made after Surrogate, like filmed after, but they were being
They were
edited
so
at
close.
the same time.
Yeah. So I guess technically Paprika was the last one.
The last one we filmed. Yeah. Oh, and this is how you're going to find this out. We're going to start. What should I? You want to explain, or do you want me to not explain?
So we're trying to make more content from Paprika. We're trying to make webisodes.
Okay.
We've written a feature-length script, but we're looking to do something that we can actually make. I don't want to say quick and easy.
Well, there's a difference between writing what we think is a Hallmark feature-length version of Paprika that we would make in the long term with someone else's money, and Paprikas, which is what my Mrs. Farx calls Paprika for fun, which would be webisodes that could be made in the short term. And actually, this is a good conversation to have with you that you have not been asked, and I was telling Kirk on the way here we have to talk to you about. So do you think it should be that Billy makes several different types of inventions, or he has to make things to improve the smell machine to like make it more viable for the marketplace? One's more linear, one is more episodic. One has more production design implications, one does not.
So my real question is, why is Billy making more machines?
Why would he make more machines instead of improve the machine he's made?
No. Why? Wow, that was Minnesota. No.
Oofta.
Why? So Billy made the original smell machine to figure out what his mom used in the mac and cheese recipe. Why is he making more machines or improving the smell machine? What is his goal? What does he want?
Well, we have to explain the movie. The movie has him panning it so that he can make more of it for other families to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an altruistic mission?
Kind of, right?
Well, I think his family around, like the adults would be like, well, you're a prodigy. You should develop this. Like if you were good at performance, so your parents doubled down on you getting into performance. If you were good at building hardware and software that had a unique application.
So shouldn't he be building more inventions? Then he should be doing more inventions and not the same thing.
So we're gonna start a writer's room.
Okay.
We've talked to the third person. She's been on an episode too. It's a she. We're not just doing all dudes on this one. Why are you laughing so hard?
Don't call
Kirk, I'm so impressed with the progress that you've had Kyle make.
Right?
The new phrase is
overnight.
The new phrase is when women talk, I listen.
Nice.
I think I with that.
I came up with that.
Proud of you.
I think you've brought up a valid question of what is the character motivation.
Yes.
And there has to be something propelling it forward.
Yes.
That would be interesting. The feature is fun because it's, oh, my dad is in love with this lady, and I think my dad should be in love with this patent lawyer. I'm going to try to make this happen at Christmas.
Okay.
Because it's a Hallmark movie.
There you go. Yeah. And excellent.
We spent a year writing that with the director of Paprika. Then I tried to, we have that. That's done. And then we started writing another one after that. Not that, but something else. We always find a third person and then we write stuff.
Okay.
Kirk and I. We've done this for 2 years now, Alissa. We missed you while you were,
having a baby. Yeah. So I think my final answer on the Paprika's issue is that you need to develop a desire line, and that will inform whether it should be improvements or new inventions.
Great. I think we're going to have the other writer or writers listen to this episode specifically. We'll have them jump to when. So let's talk about how we all got to know each other. What were you doing before you got involved with JK Productions? And you're in the middle of a JK production. It's called MBwTFB with the Farx Brothers.
Meaning, what was I doing for work?
I know what you were doing for work. The audience doesn't need to know. But what creatively were you doing that was like theater, dance, or video?
Nothing. Yeah.
But then how did you and I get it? How did the Farx Brothers come to know you?
Yeah. So I was dating this gentleman called Matt.
This gentleman called Matt.
Yes.
Sexy man.
Now known as my husband, but at the time we were just dating, and he was in grad school because he's a fancy architect and whatnot. And he told me he couldn't hang out with me because he had to study. So I went and did something else. I have no idea what. And the next morning we were chatting and he was like, yeah, I was in a movie last night with my sister, Elizabeth. And I was like, excuse me?
You mean Lizzie?
Yeah.
We haven't had her on the show yet. She'd have to talk about a movie, so I'm not sure. Someday we'll get her.
Yeah, that was my very first introduction to Kyle and Nick existing as humans, was that Matt was shot in one of your Farx Brothers productions.
Yeah, we didn't call ourselves the Farx Brothers.
You did not.
Not back then, no.
It's a newer, and Kirk's a Farx brother because he moved back from Atlanta, so we readopted him into the family.
Took that long, huh?
We're the only two Farx brothers now. It's just Kirk.
Okay.
Your boyfriend at the time, sister, got him involved with something instead of studying.
Yes.
And then how do you go from that to you being a production designer, director, multiply nominated production designer? And I think you
sounds so pretentious when you say it that way.
Well, you didn't insist that I refer to you as that. Your lawyer sent that ahead of time.
Yeah.
I was appreciative.
You're not supposed to out me like that.
You're welcome.
So basically, the next morning, I was, first of all, how dare you go be on a movie instead of studying when you told me we couldn't hang out? And second of all, how dare you go be on a movie and not bring me because, like, you know that I have a history of working in film and, like, what gives.
Because your mom told him.
Yes. Basically, from there, the conversation was just, hey, Elizabeth, if you're ever working on something again, let me know. I'd be maybe interested. So then when night came around, there was a discussion that Elizabeth would co-direct with Nick, and she wasn't comfortable doing that if she was also the main actress. She wanted delineation between those roles. So she asked me if I would be interested, and I was like, yes, but who are these people? What script? What's going on? And the rest is history.
And then you and Nick at the time rewrote the script that one of the co-writers of the movie Matt was shot in had written, and we filmed that in my basement, as I recall. And that was during the COVID.
It was. That's right.
Yeah, it was January 2021.
Yeah, and so how I made the leap to production designer was simply that Kyle was like, oh yeah, my basement looks like a bedroom. And it did not look like a bedroom. And so I said, hey, can I make it actually look like a bedroom? And you appreciated what I did enough that you allowed me to continue doing production design on future films.
To continue. We were graced with your presence. I don't know why you would say it that way. What has been, and we're reaching the zenith of the interview section, which again, the audience is hearing last after we've already talked about Wicked up to this point.
Stop breaking the wall.
What? Are you going to edit out me breaking the wall? I like breaking the wall. That's my favorite part. You can tell me honestly. I'm asking.
No,
do you have any questions you want to ask her about her?
You can make a fourth episode that's just Kyle breaking the wall and banging his mic on the floor.
I don't have my boom pole today. I'm pissed about it.
Yeah.
What is an anecdote that you would like the audience to know from your time with JK Productions? Again, you're in the middle of a JK production. I didn't prep you with any of these questions ahead of time. I only gave you the outline of what we'll talk about related to Wicked.
I think, I probably had the most fun doing Surrogate.
Toilet baby.
Yes, toilet baby. Just the blood and the placenta and other things that, I don't watch horror films. I have essentially no reference point for any horror films. I saw Aliens versus Predators. That's about as close as...
It's Alien versus Predator. We wish it would have been Aliens, but it was... I'm sorry, yes. Which one?
My point being made for me. Playing with the blood and the suspension of disbelief or cognitive dissonance between when you're making something and how unreal it feels, and then seeing it in film and it seeming very real. It was quite fun.
Yeah, that one gets a very strong reaction. I've sat in several I met someone in Duluth who then saw it in Atlanta, and she was saying, oh man, I was the only one who was cackling when the baby came out of the toilet, and everyone else was like gasping and freaking out. And I was like, no, you get it. That's been my reaction. Oh, you were there for Scream It Off Screen when a woman yelled, men suck.
I mean, what I brought up was showing it to my coworkers. All of the women were essentially doing that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why we have to cast an more attractive man than The average cat. Hey Jackson, how's it going? You have to because I was watching a movie today where a guy was so you've heard of The Substance, and this is me trying to plug
From
us.
you, yes.
Oh really?
Yes.
You've heard nothing else?
No.
Anyways, I was watching another movie by that director about it's rape revenge basically, which is a genre of movie. I don't love that that's the case. My wife and I say the R word around the house, which gets confusing because there are multiple R words.
When do you just casually say it?
Well, we don't. When we're like instead
they
of
say R word.
instead of saying rape, because rape would be worse than, and we don't want to say rape in front of the kids. And usually contextually,
Should we count how many times he's saying it?
Yeah,
I've said it 3 or 4 so far.
Cal said it.
I mean, I could say grape. Doesn't make it any better. Anyways, and in this movie, I showed it to Mrs. Farx and another friend, a neighbor today for, the night before Thanksgiving, where they're just going in a circle trying to shoot each other. They keep bleeding all over the place, and then eventually someone slips on the blood. And this is the movie that the woman who directed The Substance made before that movie. It's called Revenge.
Okay.
I think that we should end on a big congratulations to you because you got a bunch of awards from the Trap Film Festival.
Thank you.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
For production design.
Yeah, very cool.
Big deal. And it bothers me how much Puppet King does better than Surrogate in some contexts.
Yeah.
Because one's less violent than the other.
Yeah, but I also think the production design that went into Surrogate is in some respects less apparent.
Yeah.
Because we know that we built the bathroom, and I designed the bathroom, and that's not a real bathroom. Mm-hmm. But to another person, it maybe just looks like a bathroom in which we put in blood. But we know that there was like a tube that I fed through the toilet, and we were like making bubbles, and
it was a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that when I watch like sitcoms. Mm-hmm. When you see like Ray Romano and his wife sitting in the bed in the 20-year-old sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond. The bed isn't like perpendicular to the ground, or parallel to the ground. It's like elevated so that their like butts are a little higher than their feet in the bed, so they're better positioned for the camera. Kind of like how the walls tilt in so that it's better for camera.
Yeah.
We knew all that. You knew all that because you're a production designer.
Allegedly.